I'm Ellen McCauley. I'm a Pray It Off in Syracuse, New York. And it's funny because I went to LA back in September to visit our son. And I met one of his friends, and he had maybe 35, 40 pounds to lose. But we really didn't talk about weight. But after we played games, we had the greatest time. And I guess the younger generation loves to Google people. So he Googled Vince's mother and found out I did Pray It Off. So he says to Vince at Christmas, "Tell your mother I've lost 15 pounds. He goes, he's a high-powered LA lawyer, and on his break before his cases, he watches a blog. So I want you to know that these have a lot of international and national play. Now, in your packet for tonight, there is a food log. And the food log, especially if you're new, and as some of you who are older, when I say older, not age-wise, Pray It Off years, really need to embrace doing a better job on the food log. You write things like salad. What does that mean? You know, I do a salad and I'm writing down salad, avocado, hard-boiled egg. I write everything that's in the salad. And then you might say, I don't want to do that. You're that busy. You can't write what's in your salad, okay? Write it when you're eating it, you know? So that's one of the things. And I want everyone to take a look at the article, The Importance of Peace and Positivity, because the theme for session 35 is peace and positivity. The theme for session 34 was don't quit. And we didn't quit. We're here, right? We're here, and we added 5 members to our fold. Not one person quit. We're all here. And it's a beautiful thing. So peace and positivity I selected because it's easy to be at peace and positive when everything's hunky-dory. It's harder to be at peace and positivity when you go and there's a foot of water in your finished basement and everything's floating. You know, it's hard to go, praise you, Jesus, for this lesson I'm going to learn here, you know? And believe me, I know it can always be worse because everyone that I've told about my basement flooding has told me repeatedly that it could be worse. I mean, every story you can hear, everything under the sun. And what I've learned from that experience is never to tell anyone that had something bad happen to them that it could be worse. Because they really don't want to hear that. You know, what you say is, oh, you know, that's really terrible. I know you'll get through it. I'll pray, whatever. So the importance of peace and positivity. I want, at 71 years old, to look at life and all it has to offer and think positive. But it's easier said than done. Maybe you're sick. Speaking of sick, there are at least 15 people out tonight with the flu. It is prevalent. Now, don't say to yourself on next Wednesday night, I think I have the flu. Now, if you've got a fever and you've tested positive, all those sorts of things, absolutely. But if you're sick, if your family's sick, if you're in pain, or if something happened, you have a flooded basement, it's hard to be positive. But positive peace is when we try to look at our life with optimism, acceptance, resilience, gratitude, mindfulness, and integrity. I do know that things can be worse. I do know that no one wants my crap after I die. Our children do not want our stuff. They don't want it. They don't want it now. They will get a dumpster faster than we're in the ground and start loading things into it. They don't want it. Maybe gold coins or gold bullion, but they don't want the letters that your mother wrote you when you were in college. They don't want it. Now, I feel like God was jump-starting me, saying, okay, Ellen, you want to organize? Here you go. Okay? And that's the optimism that we have to look at. And what this article is saying, that in order to have peace and positivity, we need to have tiny habits that we do every single day, and we check it off, and we feel good about ourselves. Now, I have a friend who always scoffed at my daytimer. She would be derogatory. She would say things like, oh, Ellen, why don't you haul your butt into the 21st century and put it on your phone like everybody else? And I would say to her, how kind of you to be so concerned about my daytimer that you want to comment on it. But I find a great deal of pleasure taking the list, and I actually highlight the things I've done, and if it's white, I haven't done it. Find a great deal of pleasure. Well, didn't her phone, her Google Calendar, whatever she used, Outlook, it not only died, it was irrecoverable. Irrecoverable. That's another one I can't do. Not on the cloud, not anywhere. She took it to the store. She took it everywhere. It had her life on it. Her life. But if she had one of these and kept it in her purse, I don't have this on any cloud. It's right in my purse. So I write it all down, and when I highlight these tiny habits, like I decided in 2026, I like playing the piano, and I'm very bad at it. And I admit it. I never took lessons. I tried to teach myself. But I said, starting January 1, I'm going to play the piano every single day, a little bit. And I'm finding great joy, little habits every day. I have a lot of newspapers that I haven't read, the Sunday newspapers. There's a big stack. And I'm going through them. You might say, just get rid of them, Ellen. But I wanted to just make sure I didn't miss anything. So I'm going through them quickly. And I highlight that. And then this article says, write it down, check it off. It'll make you happy. Let's say you have trouble drinking 4 bottles of water today. This is all you have to do. 4 of these a day. Let's say you do 1, you check it off. Let's say you do 2, you check it off. And then you write it on your sheet, of course. It's interesting because you already know how to do the thing you are aiming for. You just need to be able to make it an automatic thing that you can do habitually to sustain your change. I know that you already know what to do because you tell me that. When you're at the scale and I go, you really need to move a little. And you go, what? What do you say, everyone? I know. You really need to eat more protein. I know. You really need to stop having pizza 4 times a week. I know. We know what we need to do. So what we need to do is what, everyone? Do it. Okay? So every morning when you wake up, you say a few words of affirmation. You know what the perfect one is? Jesus, lead and guide me. How easy is that? Lead and guide me, Jesus. Show me the way. Put it in his hands because he wants it in his hands. And he does a better job than us anyway. Lead me, guide me, show me your way. Also, take some deep breaths. I'm going to be talking about breathing a little bit more in this section. Except the tiny things that you have no control over. There are so many things we have no control over. Accept it. Go on, go forward. Also, break down these tasks. I have too many clothes. I do. I have too many clothes. And I'm going through clothes every single day. And I have these bins, and one bins are too small almost. That means maybe I can get in them pretty soon. And this one is kind of small. But I'm not keeping any that are too big. I'm not. And if I gain weight and I need bigger clothes, well, shame on me, I better buy them. Do not save fat clothes. And there's some of you in this group that have lost weight and you're still wearing some fat clothes. I'm not going to say your names. But you need to get rid of them and buy a thinner wardrobe. If you can't afford it, you got to go to that 315 over on Milton, whatever street. It's on Milton, right? They have the best stuff there. Ask my sister, she lives there. Okay. Also, write down, keep track of your Oh, everyone wants to talk about the 315 for a minute. Okay, go ahead. We're not talking about the 315. It's right on Milton Ave. We'll talk about it later. Also, keep track of your accomplishments no matter how small. And you might say, well, Ellen, how do you do that? You have what's called an accomplishment book. I have my own with little tabs, and when I accomplish things, I put it in there. And you know why I do that, everyone? So you can know. It makes me happy. Isn't peace and positivity come from being happy? If I'm achieving things that I'm working towards and I write it down, it makes me happy. And you might say, I'm too busy to write things down. You know, I gotta tell you, one of the busiest people I know is Ellen McCauley. And she writes things down, okay? Also, improve and clear your headspace. When you write things down and make things planned out, it improves your coping skills, your mental and physical health. And don't forget, through positive, tiny habits in our everyday life, we create that positive headspace that is sustainable and positive. We have Jesus to help us do that. We can never forget that. I'm going to stop right there, Bobby. And we're going to talk about peace and